around January 23rd, that would suggest that the dominant influence would have to be something of a stratospheric nature, right? One would think. So what's happening in the stratosphere? Whoa! Hello, stratospheric warming. That's what this is. All right, now remember, let's just double back here for a second. I probably should do this. 2012, where were we? Okay, we are very, very cold. This is the last day of 2012 over here. Okay, we were very cold. In fact, let me see if I can pull this up. Maybe no, sorry, not found. Okay, so you get the point here. 2012 certainly ended on a cold note for the stratosphere. Now look what happened. That is impressive. That is very strong stratospheric warming. Maybe I should show you what by level. Why is this important? Well, here we go from well below normal to well above normal to historic levels. This is historic stratospheric warming at 10 millibars, 30 millibars, 70 millibars. What is my point here? When you see this type of stratospheric warming set up, and it's clearly drilling down from the top of the stratosphere down towards the troposphere where we happen to live, that has a fundamental impact on the weather pattern. You cannot deny this. I don't care what model you're looking at. You can look at the GFS, the European, the Korean, the South American, the tornado line. I don't care. You can make up your own model. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter physically is that this type of stratospheric warming, not just at one location, but at multiple locations throughout the stratosphere, has a fundamental impact on the polar vortex. It basically destroys it, splits it in half, has parts flying all over the place. And so what that does, it forces what we call a negative Arctic oscillation and a negative North Atlantic oscillation, the way that the pattern's starting to set up. So step back here for a second. Look at where we're setting up right now. We're seeing very, very strong signals for very impressive high latitude blocking setting up basically from Europe through the North Pole down to West Coast. What we're looking for is for this to drop south. And all indications point to this dropping south. And when it drops south, this builds over Greenland. And what you end up with is a very impressive sustained blocking pattern. So let's go back again. This is happening now. This is physics. There has to be an equal and opposite reaction to this warming. And that means that the atmosphere must set up, it has to set up in such a way that the polar vortex has to drop south towards North America, towards the United States, which releases the floodgates and sends Arctic air south. So when we take a look at this setting up throughout the stratosphere, remember, when we started out, this was all cold. And now it's warm, very much above normal. Now, at this current time, we have a cold spot here and a cold spot here, but all of this warming here, okay? What we end up with, a couple days down the line, is all of our warming focusing over the East Coast. Okay, so we start to see the indications of where we're going to see our ridges and troughs around the Aleutians, ridge around the West Coast, look at our trough, and you can see that going down further at, let's say 100 millibars, I think. Yeah, here we are at 100 millibars, and look where we end up 10 days from now. Again, this is not something you take for gospel, but look at how the ridging's starting to bleed over here. Look where it's starting to send a polar vortex south. It's clearly shifting our southeast ridge further east and setting up that we end up with a trough right to the east of Hawaii, which forces this ridge further east. Everything is moving in the right direction, wouldn't you say? I think so. So when we consider all these factors here coming together, you have to just kind of look at what's happening physically and say to yourself, do you really think it's going to keep on remaining this warm? I don't think so. So what type of temperatures are we dealing with up in the Arctic, up in Canada? This is where hockey is living. And by the way, congratulations to all you hockey fans. Looks like it's coming back. If to get an idea of the type of cold air that's up here, minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit. This is in Celsius. Minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Just waiting to drop south. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be minus 45 degrees in New York City, but I am saying that we have a very powerful Arctic air mass ready to drop south. And let me give you a little bit of a clue about Arctic air masses. They don't like to leave very easily. Okay? So we're setting up, everything here is setting up to support this Arctic air dropping south. We see what's going on in the stratosphere. We're seeing where the MJO is going and where the convection is starting to change, moving convection towards the date line once again. So all indications point to a weather pattern that is clearly changing. Because now we establish this pattern, and believe me, by the way, these blocks, this, or even if the upper level low is here, and you got ridging building here, and then here connecting, that doesn't collapse very quickly. That's here to stay for a while. So we have a lot of things going on, a lot of changes, a lot of activity. Winter is not over, it is just beginning.